Okay, ladies and gentlemen, come dive into the open minds where you can broaden your perspectives, expand your horizons, and open your eyes to a reality never thought possible. Just remember, once you open that door, there's no going back. I am your host, Robbie Diesel. This is the Open Mind Show. And tonight I got my boy G.Scott on the show, man. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. I'm happy to be here, bro. Grateful you invited me, man. Uh, Shit, man. You know, we done had 100 conversations before. It's only right to bring it to the podcast.
Yeah, bro. So you know what I mean? Like I try to maintain like a quality of bringing like experts on the show so that like anybody that wants to like dispute anything we're talking about, like you're disputing it with the expert, you know what I mean? But I also like to bring individuals on here that I follow or I know through a social presence or a personal presence that, you know what I'm saying, like doing shit that I look up to in life. You feel me? Like being a good father, being there for your kids, you know what I'm saying? Just being a stand-up man, you know what I mean? And you're all those qualities. So for sure, it was only right that I got you on here. And you a free thinker like me too. Like you like to dive into stuff and like you see stuff for what it is and not what they try to sell us on the surface, you know?
Right. 100%. You know, me and you, like I said, man, we done had 1,000 conversations probably uh, about different stuff. And yeah, for sure, man. Likewise, man, I respect you as a family man and a father. You know, I didn't told you that before. That's what it's about, man. You know, I tell people all the time, man. I tell my young homies when I see them, you know, with their children and their wife, I'm like, I give them that motivation. I be like, bro, you rich. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying?
straight up,
You
bro,
rich.
because people don't see it, man. And there's been moments, bro, in my life where I've literally sat here and watched my kids. I've been present in their lives, but I haven't been present, bro. And like that shit will eat you up if you see it, you know what I mean? And you're like, hold up, because shit starts flying by, you know what I mean? And you're missing the prime
Yeah,
years. So
for
it
sure.
is, bro. It's definitely it's wealth, dog. But
No, but
anyway,
uh, you
go
know,
ahead.
let me say this. Of course, you know, like you said, I'm no expert in what we're about to talk about. You know, not gonna perpetrate a claim to be one, but you know, you and I have talked long enough where you know that anything I say and represent as a fact, I'm gonna be able to back it up for sure, or I
Mm,
won't represent it as a fact. And I did my due diligence.
okay.
I did my due diligence. Everything that I'm going to report as a fact, or you know, to support anything that I'm saying, I for sure, you know, got sources, and I vetted the sources and made sure they was, you know, reputable and whatever I'm claiming they're talking about, and you know, the whole nine. So I'm definitely not an expert, but I brought some stuff from people that are. You know what I
No, yeah,
mean?
that's dope as fuck, and that's exactly why I got you on here, G. That's exactly why I
Yeah.
got you on here. So it stands to tell the truth. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So basically, I brought you here tonight. This is episode 25. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Episode 25, my boy G.Scott. We came here to talk about the Sumerian culture, the ancient Sumerian culture. And if you're not familiar with that, this is some of the most earliest civilization known to man. And now let me break that down to civilization. That's not humans, because there's humans that are way older that they found out. But this is civilization. Like I'm talking about like structured, like buildings, scholars, arts, crafts, literature, stuff like that, like civilization, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is some of the earliest stuff, but before we break it down into like just the basic like history of it and stuff like that, the reason that I brought this to the attention of the show is because there is a lot of interesting facts within this early civilization that go against mainstream religion, mainstream archaeology. That's just like super out of there. But this was normal for them back at the time. And these are some of the first civilizations that we can account for on Earth. So this is why this is interesting to me. But why don't you kind of break down to the people like what the Sumerians are? I kind of gave it like a broad, you know what I mean, like layout, but break down what the
Okay.
Sumerians are.
So you know, what I do know of the Sumerians are, like you said, they're ancient civilization. You know, one of the first known to us. And I forgot when it was, and I wish, man, if we got time, maybe you can pull it up. I forgot the scientists who found these tablets, but over 50 or 60 years ago, this dude, this English guy, found these tablets, these stone tablets from this, long period of time. But these tablets basically talked about this ancient civilization. And in these tablets, they interpreted them, they were in cuneiform, they interpreted them basically to say, in short, that what a lot of people believe are aliens existed.
Okay.
This race of aliens, they were called the Anunnaki. And they existed, and basically they were gods on Earth, but they lived on Earth, and the tablets gave details about them and details about their society. And I'm sure that's the shit we about to get into. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, so basically they're you could almost describe the Sumerians as like a Native American or an Egyptian culture. They were kind of a cross in between it. So like religion that we have today, it's like based around like one God, and then you have prophets and stuff that followed him and stuff like that. But in a lot of like Native American stuff and ancient Egyptian and just ancient culture in general, they had multiple gods. It was it wasn't just one God. And so
So
like
let's I mean to cut you off. Let's let the people into how I even got on the show, bro. First of all, the area that I do know that the area that Summer was in is what they call Mesopotamia, which is like southern Iraq. Now, and my guy on social media, we follow each other. And we talk quite often on social media. He posted something about Sumeria and them being the society being polytheist. And me and him had this conversation one time before regarding Native Americans, just like he said, and the understanding of especially Westerners like us, right? And I don't mean California, I mean Westernized society.
Canada, Mexico, United States.
Right.
Yeah.
We tend to look at those type of religions like the Sumerians and Native Americans as polytheists, but they don't necessarily look at it like that. And I already knew that, but I confirmed that with Robbie one day because I'm in school, and last semester my school had a land acknowledgement ceremony. And it's basically where they were paying tribute to the Patwin tribe, in which the land that the school sits on, it belonged to, and the shepherded
Oh
for thousands of
shit.
years.
That's
You know what I'm
dope.
saying? It was hella dope, bro. I had to be there. I took my kids and shit. You know what I'm saying? It was extra credit, but I still took the
Hell
family,
yeah.
took my wife. And there I learned that their religion lines up with any monotheistic religion that you would think of. They have the creator. Yes, they have what you would call gods, but even though they don't refer to it like that, but they have a creator who created all, and all came from. And that's what I want to dig into with Sumeria, because when you said that about Sumeria, I pointed that out too. I wanted to, tell you that it's similar.
Right.
It's just the way we look at it as a westernized society who's used to hearing Christianity, as
Right.
what religion is. When we hear other societies talk about Ishtar and Ra, and we automatically think not only polytheistic, we go a step further and demonize it. And believe it or not, like I said, I'm in school. Last semester, I took an ethnic studies class, and I learned all about this. I had a really good teacher. This lady, man, this doctor, and she showed us how westernized society demonized foreign cultures, and different religions, and made it seem as though not only were they polytheistic, but took it a step further, like they were devil worshippers and shit. And they do it to this day with like Haiti and shit like that. And we don't know nothing about what them people got going on.
No, it's
over
facts.
there. You know what I'm saying?
That's
We just know
facts.
we just heard of voodoo. We heard that word before.
Like to point the finger.
So that's definitely the big part of what I want to get into tonight, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's awesome. And I honestly haven't looked it up. Maybe you have. Have you like looked into like what the significance is to deities versus like the God and the creator amongst like Native American and Sumerian civilization?
So okay, so let's see. Yes. Specifically,
Because like to me, like where I'm standing at, like if I put myself in the shoes of a ancient person, period, if somebody comes from a foreign place, you could say it's from the sky, you could say it's from inside of a fucking mountain and has all this knowledge, this power, this technology and all this stuff, bro. Like you're a
that's a
god.
god.
You're a
That's a
god.
god.
Because
Let me. Okay, so
you
look,
are more advanced than I am.
look, man. I know we're gonna get into a lot of different little conversations like this where the path gonna go off, right? So
Mm-hmm.
have you seen the new remake of the Jungle Book? Have you seen that?
If I have, I don't remember, dude. I watch a lot of kids movies with my kids. So,
Right, of course,
is it
right.
the
So
is it the live animated
the
one?
live one, the
Okay,
live
yeah,
one.
yep, yep.
Okay, so it's a part in that movie, bro, where Mowgli,
Mm-hmm.
the little boy, is going through the jungle with whoever the panther was.
Okay, I
The
don't
whatever
remember the
you know
names
what I'm talking
either.
about.
Yep.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? The panther, and they come across some elephants, dog. And when they see the elephants, the panther tell him he say bow down. He tell him bow
Yeah.
down. And Mowgli bows down. And he asks him, what are we bowing down for? He said, everything you see, the elephant created. He said
Mm.
with his feet,
With his stomps and his power and his
with his stumps, he made the mountains.
wow.
With his tusk, he made the rivers that the water goes in.
Damn.
That's literally their God because God is just a word. God is a word
Mm.
that I am taught and believe that just means force and power. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think those are two things I want to lay out first because I think everything I'm going to say falls under these two things, and I have to say it first so you'll understand everything I'm going to say. But two things and misconceptions I think that people have when they're talking about this type of stuff is this. Number one is the barrier of culture, religion, and language. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Just for example, people who read the Bible and proclaim to be Christians. Everyone, we speak English. They say God. No one in the Bible ever said the word God.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
That's just a word. It's
Right.
about what the word represents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I think that that's one hiccup that people have to get over. And I think another one is this: that since the beginning of time, and most of humanity, human beings believe that God was a human being, not a spirit. That's something new.
Yeah, that's new to me too.
That's something new. You know
Huh.
what I'm saying? And I want to dig into that too because
Yeah.
that's a big misconception. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Gods weren't other than human
Mm.
to humans for a huge part of history. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. They were like superhuman, basically.
Right. And all the gods
So
were
so here's like a for anybody that wants to see this. I don't know if I can let me try to turn this around. This is like a basic like timeline of Sumeria, and that might be blurry, but it's 5,000. It goes all the way back to 5,000 BC up to 2300 BC. And it's basically just showing the land mass and then when they started building their civilization versus the cuneiform that you talked about, and then like agriculture and then armies. And what's crazy is I pulled up, let me start here too, is I just to talk about basic and let's not get too deep into the like oohs and ahs of the stuff yet. So some basic facts that I pulled up that people might not know about Samaria is that the one of the largest Sumerian cities probably had about 80,000 residents in it. So that's to give people an idea of how civilized these people were. That was just one of their cities, and they had a whole region,
wow.
you know what I mean? Had 80,000 residents. Um, there's a huge list of Sumerian rulers from the time that they were around the culture. And a couple of them include women, believe it or not. So there was actually some women rulers, which I thought was pretty cool, having two daughters. Um, the Sumerian city and states were often at war with each other, and I didn't look into why, but they were always in conflict with each other. So that was number three. Number four, the Sumerians were fond of beer. So beer goes all the way back to Sumeria. They were fucking with the hops. Cuneiform writing was used for over 3,000 years in the Sumerian culture. So that was one of the predominant writings. The Sumerians were also traveled trade merchants, so they had their hustle. They were big hustlers. Um, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which was a Sumerian poem, and it was supposed to be a Sumerian poem, and it was basically about one of their rulers, for people who don't know, went on a journey to try to find like the ultimate power, like immortality, kind of like an Adolf Hitler fucking spur, you know what I mean? But he didn't try to turn a bunch of people against each other to do it. He just went off on his own. They actually found proof and, archaeological facts and stuff that may have been real and not just a poem. So there's that fact too. And then 8 and 9 were the Sumerians' mathematics and measurements that they used back then are still used today, which shows you how advanced they were in 5000 BC. And then the Sumerian culture wasn't even found, and it was lost to history until the 19th century. So there's 9 facts of Sumeria that people may have not known. I didn't know a majority of them. I think 8 of the 9 I didn't know.
I didn't know probably
I think
every single one
the
of
the only one that I knew was
them.
the city one, that they had really large cities. Other than that, the rest of them were all crazy facts to me too. But
Yeah.
basically, I also read too that the first Sumerian city wasn't built by them. There's scripture and there's writings that it was left to them by what we're talking about, one of these gods. Did you hear about that or read that up too?
Um, I don't recall that specifically, but out of the stuff I read, I wouldn't be surprised. That's not too far off. You know what I'm
His
saying?
name was Anunnaki, and that was the god they say that left the very first Sumerian city that kicked off Sumeria.
Yes.
So it wasn't
I
even
just
built by them. That's
go
what
ahead.
fascinates me too, is that I can't remember if it's in the Mayan or the Aztec culture too, but they also have references of that in some of their literature, that those pyramids, those sites were not built by them.
I got this guy, um, Ivan Van Sertima,
Hmm.
and in his book African Presence in Early Asia, has shown that the indigenous people of the Sumerian civilization were Black between 1889 and 1900.
Hmm.
30,000 texts were unearthed in Neper Lagash, the religious center of ancient Sumer. The
Mm.
texts, which are from the second and third millennium BC, have helped us to have a clearer understanding of the religion of these ancient Blacks. Samuel N. Kramer. Samuel N. Kramer was one of the world's leading Assyrianologists and an expert in Sumerian history and Sumerian language.
Mm.
All right. This guy, in his book, History Begins as Summer, he observes the stories illustrate vividly the anthropomorphic, which means human,
Hmm.
nature or character of the Sumerian gods. Even the most powerful and most knowing among them were regarded as human in form, thought, and deed.
Yeah, he's referring to the deities or gods, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
Talking
Okay.
about these gods.
Right.
I'm the angle I'm going with now is that these gods are humans. You know what I'm saying? These are humans. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
human like, yeah.
Exactly what you said. A human. The only difference were they were superior in knowledge and power and
Mm.
wisdom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So look, here's another one. The Sumerians believed in one supreme God who was called Anu.
Anu.
Anu
Yeah.
Anu was the father and the king of the gods. His realm was the expanse of the heavens. Cheek
Uh,
Anti, hold on, Cheek Anti Dio. At any time, if I'm gonna say a person's name, I'm gonna go through maybe the first 4 or 5 of these guys when I bring them up and kind of drop
their bios, their
their
quick
right.
bios.
But
Yep.
after that, I'm gonna stop. And but at any time, if you want to check me, man, you can call me out because that's what I did it for. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I did it to
Bet.
be called out.
Yep.
It says his realm was the expanse of the heavens. Antidio. Cheek Antidio was a Senegalese historian, an anthropologist, a physicist, and a politician who studied the human race's origin and pre-colonial African culture. His work is considered foundational to the theory of Afrocentricity, though he himself never described himself as an Afrocentrist. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he says that the name Anu comes from An, which means man. Anu was accompanied by his wife, the mother goddess called Antu. All the other gods, which were his children,
Mm-hmm.
Enki, Marduk, Ishtar, and the rest were in human form.
So now you're talking about like fallen angel type shit. This
Well,
this when you're saying this stuff, it reminds me of like the Book of Enoch and stuff. That chapter, that story that was taken out of the Bible and shit, where they talk about that, like these fallen angels.
yeah, man, uh, but the crazy thing is, like I said, all through history, right? This story is not unique.
No,
You know what I'm
no, it is
saying?
not. You
This
can
uh
you can go
this
to all you can go to all cultures and they might
and it's
have
the same thing.
different names, different places. Instead of a fucking lizard,
Yep.
it's a dragon. Instead of a dragon, it's a fucking
Yeah.
wolf. Yeah.
It's the
What
this story is definitely not unique. You know what I
who are
mean?
who my question is, who are these people's God? Who are these people's ruler? Who are these people? Obviously the father's the ruler. That's not the right word. Who did these guys worship? Because it sounds like they're the
So
they're the
look,
bee's
so look,
knees.
so look, so look, that's what I said. So Anu, he's the head god.
Right. He's the
He
father.
he he's the god over all of them.
Okay. The Sumerian culture has these gods and these deities. Now, in the stories that you just read, we could argue the name. A lot of people referred to him as the father. These deities refer to them as the father. It was the head guy in charge of all these guys who came down and gave Sumerians knowledge. Some of them he might have been their legitimate biological father. Other ones he might have just been their ruler. Each one of these deities were a god in their own aspect. Like one was a god of fertility, one was a god of life, one was a god of mathematics, one was a god of the astronomy and stuff like that. So each one was like an expert in their field and shared all this knowledge with the Sumerians, but almost kind of had like a control over them too. They kind of used it as like a weapon against them or like a hold over them. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. These guys came from somewhere. And the story goes that they okay, there's a couple stories. Some is that they were banned here. There's another story that their world where they're from was destroyed by a weapon because they were at war. And they brought the weapon here and they hid it in the mountains for millennia. And they were here for millennia until a group of them that were here were like, wait a minute, why are we just like chilling here and still acting like the same rules, like the same honor, the same integrity, like if we were on our planet? Nobody's here to watch us. Nobody's here to rule over us, but we have all this power over these people. So now we're going to start mingling with them. We're going to use these weapons against them. It's when stuff started turning south. And there was two brothers there and they didn't agree with that. One of the brothers agreed that we should do that. We should use these weapons. We should take advantage of these earth people. We should procreate with them. And the other brother was like, no, this is not cool. Now when I'm talking about messing with them, I'm talking about like biologically, genetically, like modifying our DNA as well as having sex with earth beings and stuff like that. the brother saw what was coming, and he put what some scholars say is a worship gene in us. Now, my question, and the reason I want to lay all this stuff out is because I know I said take the religious aspect out of it, but when you follow the cookie crumbs and the bread trail, the religion that we have today seems like it might have came from these guys, but who do these guys worship? They had the Ankh, the guy that pretty much ruled them, but they don't, like you said, they don't refer to him, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. They don't refer to him as a god. They just refer to him as like either a ruler or a father.
Okay, so listen to this. Through the cuneiform texts, which are the ancient writings of the Sumerians, we learn a great many details of this divine assembly.
Hmm.
In these writings, it was referred to in many ways, but primarily as Pur Alani, which means council of the gods,
Okay.
or Anunnaki. The Anunnaki was composed of an inner circle of the higher and lower region gods.
Okay.
The higher or heavenly gods were called Iggy, according to Zechariah's stitching
Okay,
in the
yep. Shout out Zachariah
12th
Stitching.
planet. The number of these heavenly gods was 12. He says that this emphasis on the number 12 can be traced to the fact that the solar system has 12 members, and each of the leading Anunnaki was assigned a celestial counterpart, forming a pantheon of 12 Olympians, who were each assigned a constellation and a month. The Sumerian Anunnaki, consisting of 12 gods, each assigned to a constellation and a month, is the root and the origin of the Latin Anun, which means year, or the French
annual.
an, or annual, right?
Yep.
Stitchin says. All right, so look, the circle of great gods was also referred to as the exalted court. This is exactly okay, we're not gonna get into that right there. Okay, so look, so I'm gonna say the head god or judge of the Anunnaki was called, and I'm gonna fuck this up, but it's Lugadamanrankia. You spell it
Hold on, hold on, hold on,
Lugaldimn.
hold on. Go back one
Okay,
more time. L what? Yep. L
Lugaldimmerania,
D. Oh
which
yeah.
means king of the gods of the heavens and earth. Anu, the father of the gods, was always the Luga Mankrari, or however you say that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until he was replaced by the Anunnaki with Marduk, the young god.
Marduk.
The way this transition takes place is a perfect example of how the council functions. The Anumu Elish, the old Babylonian creation epic, the Anaku gods were looking for a champion to slay the evil Tiamat. The young god Marduk approached them, saying, I will accomplish all that is in your hearts. I will be your avenger and slay Tiamat, but you must make me supreme. From now on, my word will fix destinies of the gods, and whoever I create will remain unchanged. Now, let me give you that is from a guy named Hamilton, and the book is called In the Beginning. I'll come back and double back on the specifics of the Hamilton guy and the whole nine, right? But let me keep going. It says, the Anunnaki first tested Marduk. They spread the starry canopy in the sky and challenged Marduk to remove it by his word. After succeeding in this and the challenge to make it reappear, the gods prostrated themselves before Marduk and proclaimed joyfully, Marduk is king. The tablets read. They erected for him a princely throne. Thou art most honored of the great gods. Thy decree is unrivaled. From this day, unchangeable shall be thy pronouncement. To raise or bring low, these shall be in thy hand. The utterance shall be true, thy command unimpeachable. No one among the gods shall transgress thy bounds. The office of Lugamanrakia was not a permanent position, just as the president sits in the seat for a specific term, so did the judge or king of the Anunnaki gods hold that office for a specific term called the Bala. The
Like a
term
politician.
the term or period was named after the particular incumbent, just as we refer to the Reagan administration or the Bush administration. This is exactly, we ain't gonna get into that again, but I really want to, because this, bruh, this is why this Sumerian stuff, like this doesn't go against what I've been taught about religion. This doesn't go against what I've been taught about religion. You know what I'm
saying? So this is why I said I wanted to take the religion part out of it, but you almost can't. Like, that's the wrong way to say it, because when you're reading that, we are reading that as if me and you wrote that about our gods, but these gods are just superior beings, like we've already established and discussed. So of course we're going to name them gods. But from the explanation and the stuff that you just read on the history of it, bro, that's like me and you calling Nancy Pelosi a god because she's a congresswoman. You know what I mean? While we're writing about her and her group of people up on Capitol Hill, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that yet.
In a sense, not 100%, but
except, you know, we're gonna get into this as well, but you know, these
we're there, G, we're there, we're in it.
You know, these gods, bruh, you know, these gods were said to be, you know, superhuman. But you know, it's a pretty, so you know, I'm shifting from proven shit that I have, you know, backed up facts to conjecture now.
No, for sure.
You know, it's a pretty known fact among humans that we believe that there was once upon a time that the human being had more access to their brain power than we currently have now. Now, we don't know how much, what the difference was. We don't know if it was a small amount, but we do know that, you know, throughout time, that has changed. That has changed. I would liken the difference of the power to use more of my fucking brain to a superpower, or that of a god. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you know, the taking out of taking the humanity out of God is a new thing. You know, you know, even all the way up to early Christianity. Early Christians didn't believe that God was a spirit. If you go back to you know, some of the early Christians in Egypt, right? That were you know, in what's that place called? In Alexandria, right? When in Alexandria, right, they had a movement called the Origenists. And the Origenists, it was, you know, started by this guy named Origen. But believe it or not, most of the people there, now I'm back to facts now, most of the people there most of the natives didn't agree with his philosophy. Most of the natives believed that God was a man in human form. And you know, I'm gonna drop this. Let's see, they called it when you hear me use that word anthropomorphosis, that just means human form. You know what I'm saying? And back then, during this early Christianity period, they had, inside the Origenist movement, they had this movement called the literalism. Makes sense, right? Literalism. They believed the scriptures literally. They believed that God was a man. You know, they didn't believe that God was a spirit. And Saint Augustine, right? Saint Augustine came in, and he was always of that belief system that God was, or he had always come up in the system that God was a man, and because of that, he rejected religion. And it wasn't until he went and learned Christianity in a way that that turns God into a spirit, that he came and accepted Christianity and made it the law, and made it the law of the land.
Is your God physical?
Is my God physical?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
it is.
For
That's
sure.
dope. That's dope.
For sure. God, for me, we call what people refer to as traditional religion as spookism.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there is no pie in the sky,
Okay.
and when you die, you die.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
But all energy is conserved. So I was
Mm.
here before I got here, and I'm gonna be here still. But when
Yeah.
I die, it's over.
Yeah.
You find me one person that ever came back, and then we could talk about it then.
Well, there's plenty of stories of kids who remember previous lives.
Well, man,
Have you
you
heard
tell
about
me
that
anybody
stuff?
that actually died, you put him in the ground,
Yeah.
and he got back up,
And I see what you're
and
saying, like
you know what I'm
resurrected.
saying.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You
So
you know
what does that do for your faith and belief about people that do? They have like young children that can literally recount past lives, almost like reincarnation and stuff.
I don't want to. You have to, man. I'm a specifics type of person, man. I'm not gonna shit on nobody's experience.
No, yeah, and
You
that
know
is
what I'm
not
saying?
definitely not where I'm going. Do you believe in reincarnation based off of like things that we can find through history and through facts, or no?
I mean, I believe that based on what I just said about energy never dying, then I would have to say that that's the same thing.
Okay,
You know
yep.
what I'm
I
saying?
agree. I agree because I fully believe in energy.
But
I
that
believe
but
in a
that's scientific shit right there. You know what I mean? That's the difference. That's the difference between my take on religion. My
Mhm,
take on religion is practical and it's
mhm,
rooted in math and science.
mm.
Which is different from most mainstream religion.
Yeah,
That's why
it's almost like paranormal is mainstream religion.
I'm taught that humanity has a pattern.
Mm.
Mathematics. Humanity has a pattern, and the pattern doesn't change. And that's why when you go through, it doesn't matter where the country is, it doesn't matter what the religion is, what the book is. Once you break it down and you get to the root of it, it's the same shit. And the pattern,
Damn,
the pattern is the same.
I
I'll give
fuck
you,
with
I'll
that.
give you, I'll give you a piece of the pattern that has nothing to do with religion, right? Um, you know, you ever heard of Atlantis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm dipping in my conjecture bag again. This ain't,
Right.
I don't have an annotated bibliography on this type of shit, right? They talk about Atlantis and how it was a city that, like Sumeria, super
Mm-hmm.
advanced, right?
Thrived.
Super advanced. Side note: if both of these places existed, what does that say about gods? About the word
Mm.
gods?
Mm.
If Sumeria had gods, Atlantis had gods. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, though, so you have Atlantis, this society that gets wiped out, and I've been taught by people before that the part of the pattern is right that some of the wisest people that survived from Atlantis, they revealed some ancient knowledge or wisdom to humans throughout throughout humanity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And during those times, we've had advances in technology and
Mm.
stuff like that. But look, peep this out. Let's drag the religion into it. Is that not how religion happens? So look, if you go into the word scripture, right? If you go and dig into the Greek and Latin of the word scripture actually means a part of a writing
Mm-hmm.
out of a bigger part, out of a
Mm-hmm.
bigger book. You know what I'm saying?
So
So
like a small
analyze
portion
religion
out of a.
out of a bigger book. So analyze religion. Just the three big ones, right? The three big
Mm-hmm.
ones: Christianity, Islam, Judaism. They all
Right.
came at different points in history, to different parts in the world, to a different culture. Don't that
Mm.
line up? And each one of these religions had somebody who claimed they came in contact with God,
Mm.
and he revealed something to them, a part of scripture, a part of something that was a bigger book. Part of it he gave to the Christians, part of it he gave to the Muslims, part of it he gave to the Jews. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And it's the same shit, bro. It's the same shit. And even when you dip out of the main religions and you go into, the ancient Persians, the ancient, Egypt, it's the same formula.
Mhm.
So when no matter, because my religion is rooted in science and math, no matter what you tell me or what you put in front of me, I still see my theology. I
Right.
still see my theology
No, and it
because
makes
my
sense
theology.
because it's physical, like you said, it's plausible, it's logical, and it's physical. So it wouldn't not make sense. And that's what I'm trying to get at too, is that like these Anunnaki came here and left something behind, or multiple things behind, right? That we took, and somebody somewhere along the line either weaponized it or used it to their own advantage or their own manipulation of humanity rather than what it was left for. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's what always interested me, is the story of these two brothers, and he put a worship gene in us. What was the significance of that? That's what and these are questions you might not have the answer to. I don't have the answer to them. That's why I'm asking them.
I
It's like,
definitely know because I'm hearing what you're saying for the first time. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely don't. But run it down to me again so I can at least bounce some ideas off of it.
so basically there was within this fraction of gods that the Sumerians named, there was two brothers, and what I took from it was that their father was the head guy. But all
What
of
was
them,
what was the brother's name?
I can't remember, dude. It was two brothers.
Okay,
But
okay.
and you know what? I'm gonna look this up and find it for you for later reference, or maybe even before the end of the show. One of the brothers took the weapon who they had brought here from their planet, that they pretty much destroyed their planet with. And after some millennia of being here and living in coexistence with the Earthlings and stuff like that, was like, yo, fuck this. Like, nobody's here to watch us. So why the fuck are we like living as if somebody's ruling over us and monitoring us? So let's take advantage of these people. Let's use the power of this weapon to like build things and do stuff that we shouldn't. And the other brother was against it. But within all this time, they're dissecting our DNA. That's why there's huge gaps in, well, no, I shouldn't even say gaps. There's huge, like you said, there's advancements in our DNA and our evolution that can't be explained by Darwin's theory of evolution. Like they're jumps and leaps and bounds. Like in evolution's theory, it's like overnight pretty much. And that's not possible if it's natural evolution. So that's scientific proof that our DNA has been altered with, and they can account 64 times that our DNA has been altered with. They also can find in our DNA that we have been implanted with what they call a worship gene or a God gene that makes
I'm
humans
listening.
worship something. So that's what I want to know, is where's the significance of that? And if they put that into us, is that why they left? Is that why we believe in a religion? Did they leave religion behind because they put that gene into us? And if they put that gene into us, which they had knowledge of worshipism, did they worship something? Who did they worship? Who was their creator? All that stuff. Because when we're reading the history, we're reading writings of people like me and you. So of course we're gonna write them as gods. So it ends right there, because we're taking it as, oh, well, when I asked that question, who did they worship? Well, clearly it's them because they're writing gods in their scriptures. But no, they left something behind, altered our DNA. So who did they worship? Who was their guy or their religion or their thing? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe scholars that we're reading all this info from, they don't even have the damn answers. I don't know.
Because
It, it,
I'm of go ahead,
it
go ahead.
was the brothers, dude. The Inky and Anil. Those were the brothers.
Okay.
And they one of the gods that I told you, the Enki, and then Anil is Enlil, and they were the two brothers who were the rulers over Earth, and their father was Anu, the Almighty God, according to Sumerian texts.
Right. Okay.
And uh Anil created Eden, while his brother Enki created Adam, Yet Anil wanted to enslave man and make man dependent on gods. So Aninki and Anil were two, what the Sumerians referred to as gods, and they happened to be biological brothers. And their father, which was the Almighty God, was Anu. They, regardless of how they got there, whether their earth was destroyed, whether their father shunned them there because he wasn't fucking with them no more, whatever the case may be, they came to earth. They were the rulers of earth. One of the brothers created Eden, the other brother created Adam, and Anil wanted to be enslave men pretty much and make them dependent on them as being
You
like
know,
these supreme beings.
like I said, I feel like this story is rooted in the same theology as all the other religions. To me, this is just no different because when we're talking about these people, to me, we're talking about human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the humanity, the goals and comings of humanity. You know, I'm sure it was, a bunch of confrontations throughout throughout the annals of history. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like, when I dig into that, that's all I see. We're dealing with human beings who obviously had a different type would have a different type of problem than me and you had because they're supreme. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
On a different level, right?
It was like, yeah, so
right.
supreme being problems.
Then right, they're not gonna have the same type of issues me and you gonna have, right? You know what I mean? But you know what? Some of the quotes in the text I have get into that because how the last quote I had was talking about how in the Sumerian culture they the tablet said they had 12, they had two sets of gods, a lower
upper
region
echelon
set
and a
of
lower
gods,
echelon, yeah,
right, and 12 is significant, right? That's a significant number, but think about it, it's an upper echelon and a lower echelon, that's 24,
yeah,
right? Drag that right back into the Bible, man. When you go into Revelations, right?
mm-hmm.
When you go into Revelations, and Revelations is supposed to be talking about the end of the world for Christianity or whatever, and talking about some of the things you're supposed to see in the last days and whatnot. In Revelations, it talks about 24 elders. You know what I'm saying? It talks about
Wow.
it talks about 24 elders. You know what I'm saying? And then bring it back to Sumeria. This council, this council of the Anunnaki. You know what I'm saying? Were the same. Let's go to even Kemet, right? Which is another ancient civilization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this quote. So too did the black inhabitants of ancient Kemet, Egypt, believe in the existence and power of this council of the gods. E. Wallace Bulge, in his translation of the so-called Book of the Dead, says the priests of Anu, the oldest city of Kemet, at a very early period, grouped together the greatest gods of Egypt, forming what is called the Pat Natira, or Company of the Gods,
Mm-hmm.
or as it is written in the pyramid text, Pat Atu, the great company of the gods. The text also shows that there was a second group of gods called the Patnat Esa, or lesser company of the gods. Bud says again in the gods of the Egyptians. So you go to all these different cultures, and they have these same 24 people as a council that's ruling over the affairs of people. And I was always taught that these people just represent original people. They just represent original people.
Right.
The original people of the earth. You know what I'm saying?
So, and what's so crazy to me, and maybe what I'm trying to break down, is that, like, to me, and again, this is just my opinion and my beliefs, is that, like, religion can be used for good, but the more I dig into it, the more I see religion as like a manipulation tool that was left here to, this might be the wrong word, deceive us, but like it's not what we should be focusing on. There are parts in it that we need to use. I believe, again, all this is just pure opinion on my part, that I believe that we need to use, because it is like sound life knowledge and living tools and stuff like that. But like, if I look back at all ancient civilizations, from the Native Americans to the Sumerians, like these people before, like the Anunnaki and stuff like that, like they were worshiping like the earth, the water, the sun, all this stuff, until these other beings came and were like, wait a minute, you got to worship us or some form of us. And then it somehow got watered down into just one, whatever that God may be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to dispute that. But somewhere along the lines, to me, something got crossed, because I feel like ancient civilizations worshipped like natural things, like plants, animals, earth,
Watch
water.
this. Okay. So look, remember I told you I told you that you know see this is the thing. So I'm gonna keep pulling these out because it wasn't that ancient civilizations worship water and shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? They didn't. All these ancient civilizations had a what we call a god, a creator. You know what I'm saying? In some form or
Was this
fashion.
prior to these people showing up though? That's what I'm trying to get at.
For sure. For sure.
Okay. Okay.
For sure.
See, there's
For
something new
sure.
that I learned too. Because here's my thing, bro. If you go to a church and somebody's preaching to you, oh, if you don't do this and this, yeah, okay. Let me back it up. If you go to a church and somebody's telling you, let's say a preacher, you are created in this God's image to be imperfect, but if you act on those imperfect creations that He created you as, you're going to be punished. I'm gonna leave that church and go, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, maybe if I go rob this dude, something will happen, maybe it won't. But if I go stand in the middle of a fucking ocean during a storm and a wave hits me, I can feel that power of that wave and respect that power of that wave in that water, and know that there's like significant source in that. Same thing with like an avalanche. Same thing with like a tsunami. Same thing with like an earthquake. You know, is that making sense? Like how I'm breaking it down? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's too extreme. So that's what I'm saying, is that like I do believe to a certain aspect they had, maybe worship's the wrong word. They had a certain respect for these things. And
Well, it's I think that you dipping it in a westernized view of what God is.
that's fair. That's very fair.
You know what I'm saying? Because what did I tell you? To me, the actual definition of God is force and power.
Mm, yeah, you did say
Is a
that.
tsunami not force and power?
Yeah,
Is a
100%.
tornado
That could
not
be a
force and
god.
power? Is
Mm,
is the force that gave electricity and flickered the first atom in the darkness of space that created light? Is that not force and power?
that is 100% force and power. You're absolutely right. I like that.
So it depends on what you're looking. It depends on how you're looking at what God is to people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
I said, I keep on saying I'm gonna pull this up, and we keep on getting sidetracked. Let me
it
look this up,
happens.
man. I'm gonna tell you exactly kind of when a turning point in specifically Christianity went to when it went from thinking as of God and as gods were people, human
Hmm.
beings,
Hmm.
to thinking of it
Spiritual.
on a spiritual form. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
Hold on.
You know, and to point out to people too, anybody listening, I am a truther. I'm not a theorist. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I feel like a conspiracy theorist is always concerned about the what ifs and never the actual answers, whereas as a truther, like sometimes it's going to be something like you don't want to hear or you don't necessarily see, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you know, if
For sure.
if Jake went and shot an ex-president, you know what I mean? Maybe he just didn't like the fucking guy. There doesn't have to be a conspiracy behind it. Maybe that dude just didn't fucking like him. Or maybe there is a conspiracy behind it. But once that truth comes out and it can no
Yep.
longer be refuted, that's the
Yep.
truth, bro. You know what I
Truth
mean?
is truth.
Right,
Truth is
exactly.
truth.
So and
Yeah.
that's where,
I
sometimes
tell
you
people
hear
that all
stuff.
the time. You get caught up on that. Well, it's the perspective. No, look, think about it like this. If somebody comes and writes a 9 down on a piece of paper and they just leave the paper there, right? And then we come in and I pick it up and I say, man, it's a 9. And you pick it up and say, no, this is 6. We can think whatever the fuck we want to think, but it's whatever the motherfucker who wrote it said it is.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
what it is. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? All right,
So,
so listen to this. This is gonna be kind of a long read, but not bear with me.
all right, come on.
Saint Augustine, A.D. 354 to 430, born in Tagaste in North Africa, is one of the pivotal fathers of the church. His many works have influenced Christian thought probably more than any other person. At the time he was writing, the popular belief among Christians, particularly the original Black Christians of North Africa, was that God was a man. In fact, he says this is the reason it took him so long to accept Christianity. In his confession, St. Augustine shares how he was turned off in his youth because the Christians he knew, including his Black mother Monica, believed that God was in the form of a man. And as a result, he aligned himself with another group he would later come to anathematize, the Menachine sect, because they too fought the Christians' majority belief in anthropomorphism, which is that God is a human. He succumbed to their logic. He says, I despaired of finding the truth in the church, O Lord, and it seemed to me very unseemly to believe thee to have the shape of human flesh and to be bound by the bodily lineaments of our members. For when my mind endeavored to recur to the Catholic faith, I was driven back, and I seemed to myself more reverential if I believe God, thee, my God, unbounded, than if I should imagine thee bounded by the form of a human body. This guy, was the start of God being in Christianity, in specifically Christianity, of God being no longer a man and now becoming a spirit.
What
He
was his name
actually,
again?
Saint Augustine.
Saint Augustine. Okay.
So look, then it says the Catholic faith of North Africa, at least of that part of North Africa, as late as the 4th century, taught that God was a man. St. Augustine's mother, Monica, was one of those believers, and for this reason, he rejected the Christian faith. His career as a teacher of rhetoric, however, took him later on in life to Milan, Italy. While there, he met a Bishop Ambrose, who introduced him to the Latin translation of the writings of Plato and the purely spiritual concept of God. Paulson says, Augustine accepted this view of God, and with his long-standing stumbling block to Christian doctrine removed, he was converted to the faith in 386, and the following year, at age 32, was finally baptized. He influenced, hold on. Let's say it goes on to say this. It is clear that even until the time of Augustine, there were 2 strands of Christianity exclusive of each other. One in Africa, where it spread from the apostles first, and one in Europe, which was interpreted through the writings of the Greek philosophers. The God of the African strand of Christianity was the God of religion, a God in human form. The God of the European strand of Christianity was the God of philosophy, an abstract, immaterial being. Augustine, though he was a Black man himself, rejected the faith and the God of his native land and embraced the God of a foreign land.
We got to find out at some point what came before these guys, because these Anunnakis were here. They weren't the best of people to human beings, it sounds like, because they experimented on us. There's like evidence of them like crossbreeding us between animals and stuff, altering our DNA. And then you have two brothers out of them. One of them wanted to enslave humans. So, you throw something. I mean, to me, it's just like, okay, if you wanted to enslave them and be a god to them, you're gonna introduce a physical religion. And somewhere along the lines, like you're talking about from the St. Augustine guy, it went from physical to spiritual. But
Then
I
there was
think,
a guy named Theophilus that doubled down on it too, and kind of, switched, doubled down on the whole spiritual thing. There was a shift, bruh. There was a shift in humanity
mhm,
where we began to think that God wasn't a man anymore.
mm,
Historically, humans have always thought that. So I keep on going back to that, and it sounds like I'm bringing in religion because to me, it does go hand in hand. But I keep going back to that to say that when we're hearing of the Anunnaki and this God title
mhm.
that the Sumerian tablets appointed them with, um, I don't I'm laying out all this religious stuff mainly because it spans over different cultures and centuries, right? Thousands of years, right?
Right.
And
But
it's
the
something that
source the
go ahead, go ahead.
source the source seems to be from Sumeria and the Anunnaki. That's what I'm trying to get
Right.
at. So like we're not disputing like the ins and outs of it. Like whatever's laid out is laid out. Like we've already discussed that, um Judaism, Christianity, and Islam might have different names, different times, but it's all the same shit. But um, there's Sumerian tablets that also have written that human beings used to live for thousands of years. And then it went to hundreds of years. And then now where we are today, we're like, you're lucky to live to 70 or 80. You know what I mean? People consider that a long life.
But we
Um,
know, we know, one of the biggest reasons for that. Just go back to our parents. The food and shit that we're eating is making our generation live a lot shorter. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that
So it's
too.
not
Yes.
like it's stuff like this. To me, I'm always going to bring it right back into reality. This shit
Hmm.
isn't. It's not like any spookism type of shit. It's easy to see how people today live a whole lot shorter than people thousands and thousands of years ago. Think about the shit that we put in our body.
So
You
what's
know what I'm
crazy?
saying?
So what again? And what's crazy to me is to go back to that stories. And so people who don't think like this, I agree. This is considered spookism, but for me, this is just like it's fascinating. Is honestly is the word that I would use to describe it for a guy like me. Because you have this guy who was an Anunnaki. His name was Anil. He's the brother of Inky, and he wanted to enslave humanity. So he sees these people that were as like a threat. Oh, they live for thousands of years. They can retain all this knowledge. They have the potential to be greater than us. And if you go back on the history of Anunnaki, and I know we haven't talked about it, but they kind of like went throughout the galaxy and was like they were dominators. Everywhere they went, they were dominators. And again, I know we didn't even touch on that till right now. So this is a new revelation for this episode. But when you're a dominant species or a dominant people and you see a threat, you're gonna do whatever you can to sub that threat, right? So this is why I bring up the thousands of years and that they alter our DNA and our genetics and stuff like that, is because there's also stories when you dig deeper into that he didn't want us to retain that and be able to rise up against the Anunnaki. So in turn, he snubbed us to decades or hundreds of years. So by the time we started to even grasp a little bit of what me and you were talking about, we would die and a new generation would come over. So we wouldn't have
Yeah.
time to put the pieces together to be something greater than these people. Also, what's crazy to me about time, and it's hella funny because my wife brought this up. She's like, who's to say that they don't speed up the time? Because all the clocks that we have now are basically digital, so they're ran off something, right? Who's to say that they don't millisecond like speed up the time year by year? What if we do live for thousands of years, but because as a society as we are now, we're so pressed about future, past, what's coming up. We don't live in the present. So things seem to go quick.
Mm.
That's another theory too. Like, what if, we celebrate birthdays, we're looking up for birthdays, we're looking up for work anniversaries, oh, I graduate college in 3 months. Like, you're always looking ahead, or, oh, I used to do this or I used to do that. But what would life be like if we literally just lived in the right now all the time? Would it feel like
Yeah,
1,000 years? I mean, and this is all just speculative, you know what I mean?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But again, you input all these little pieces of the puzzle, and then you start to see, like, well, I start to see, just little things like we went from thousands of years to hundreds of years to now we're like everything, like we all wait for the new phones, the new cars, like everything's like quick, 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 quick. Information is at a crazy speed, like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so I mean, I don't know, bro. Like,
Hey, back to the Anunnaki, right? Look, so I think one thing I think that we skipping over, right, with the Anunnaki is um whoever wrote these tablets, right, referring to these Anunnaki as God, right? We don't really know how long the Anunnaki was there. We just
mm,
know that they came in contact with these people. So, for me, you know, when I hear Anunnaki, like I said, I just can't get past human being. You know what I
mm,
mean? A supreme being, a civilization of technologically advanced human beings who were there. Because I feel like, when some people talk about them, they, just naturally assume that they came from somewhere,
mm,
or that they weren't always there. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And that's not what I see. And to me, that's not what the evidence says. The evidence more like says that these were just an ancient people
Okay.
who were there here on Earth before whoever wrote the tablets. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But the tablet writers, or the what we call just normal human beings, right? Came in contact with these supreme beings.
Right.
But it doesn't say who was there first or how long they had been there. It just says, they came in contact with them.
So do you believe in space?
Space? Yeah.
Yeah.
What you mean, like?
So do you believe that there's other life out there?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't. I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything that there's not a shred of scientific proof
Hmm.
for. So the planet Nibiru
Yeah,
that
Nibiru. Yep.
has been talked about with the Anunnaki. I don't really have an opinion on that. I'm not gonna say it's total bullshit, but I've seen nothing produced as well, like the tablets. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
The
That's
tablets
physical
have shit that's
evidence.
in cuneiform that you could translate. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? The planet Nabaru is more of speculation, and the guy who speculated that, I quoted him. I forgot his name, so I'm not calling
Zachariah
him a
Sitchin.
goof. I'm not calling him a stitch in a goof. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm just saying he didn't produce the facts for that one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. And for some people who don't know, they might know that planet as Planet X. Nibiru
Yeah.
and Planet X are the same thing, and it's basically supposed to come within our
Was it like
orbit
every
every
36,000
is
or
it 36?
3,600 or
Yeah, yeah, it's at 37, 36, yeah, something like that. But anyways, that's another show all in
so
itself.
look. So look, I'm also taught. Look, so I keep on dragging it back. So the Anunnaki and the inner council, right?
Mhm.
The inner council, right? That lines up with, like I told you, all the other cultural the cultural religions with the 12 judges or gods
Apostles,
or
12
whatever, right?
apostles, yep.
To me, I'm taught that that's significant because it represents two things. It represents the time, 24 hours
Mhm.
in a day, and the 24 hours in a day actually represents the circumference of the earth, which is just
Mm,
about which is just about 24 as well. So that's the significance of the two sets of 24. And it's just that these are like a secret, not a secret, but a council of
Yeah.
supreme beings who are supposed to have control over the affairs of Earth. And it's
Dude.
not no spooky shit. It's not like they could snap their fingers or
Right,
anything.
right.
These people have an ancient knowledge of mathematics and science where they can manipulate elements
That's beyond
and
ours.
reality and shit. And right, shit that we couldn't understand, but it's not no magic. It's reality. You know what I'm saying?
So what's so crazy to me too is that you bring that up is that like if you look at sci-fi and like all these movies about like space, like Star Wars, Star Trek, all this stuff, Stargate, SG-1, all these things, in all of them, bro, they all have galactic federations, a group of superior people who have been like in cahoots, bro, in cahoots for a hell of a long time, dog. And it's like they put it in our face. What do they call it?
Yeah.
They call it predictive programming or cognitive dissonance or whatever like that. But no, bro, they be telling us this shit, dude. And there was shit in the 20s and 30s where the CIA actually ran ads saying that if Hollywood wanted their help, they could help them with science fiction movies. Basically saying this
Wow.
the stuff that we really know about, we could help you with in
Right.
your sci-fi. You know what I mean?
Oh man, come on now. Now you done brought up now I have to bring up the moon landing thing. See this,
Oh,
man,
okay.
all of this coincides with not only religion but fucking history. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
mm,
I was talking to you recently about an interview I shared with you from a NASA scientist named Dr. Norman Bergen.
mm-hmm.
And his job was he analyzed the photos that were taken by Neil and Buzz Armstrong on the moon.
Right.
And he said in this interview that they actually saw UFOs there
Mm,
at the moon. And he said, he's talking to this interviewer. He says, I looked at one of the pictures, and he said there was black people getting out of the UFOs. And the interviewer says, you mean like dark skinned people? No, he said no, black people.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? And the reason this drags back to the Sumerian thing is because these Anunnaki, or how some people view them,
As
historically,
black people.
the Anunnaki has been viewed as aliens. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like people think that they're from outer space or whatever. But like I said, I'm trying to bring the reality back to say that that what we believe are gods are just human beings.
Mm.
These ancient human beings from a time of original people. And I don't have to go back and forth or pull the annotated bibliography out to say that we all know that the first life form was found in Africa. So we know
Mm-hmm.
the original human beings were of dark skin,
Right.
right?
And we talked
So
about that too.
right. It's not a reach to hear what this NASA scientist says he saw, coming out of a UFO, and these Anunnakis
Mm-hmm.
who are labeled as gods, but who are really just human beings. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It's all related. It all intertwines.
Yo, and to talk about the moon, shout out to Mike Barra. He's been on the show. He's also a frequent guest of Ancient Astronauts on the History Channel. Um, him and Richard C. Hoagland wrote a book that when we were having that discussion, I was talking to you about. It's called Dark Mission: The Secret
Yeah,
History of NASA, and it talks
yeah.
about that, about how they saw um glass structures on the moon, like domes and stuff like that. And I actually have a picture from Mars that they were going through, and they shunned Hoagland all through the 90s and early 2000s, dude. But this is literally a picture from the Mars rover, and tell me, does that not look like a dang face on the surface of
Hell yeah.
Mars?
I
Yeah,
seen I seen this on your social media the
yeah,
other day.
and that
Hell
and
yeah,
that is
dude.
that is from Mars, dude. And these
Yeah,
scientists were trying to say that that is something that occurs normally in nature over time with wind and sand blasting
yeah,
and stuff. And dude, these guys went as far as to like breaking it down, like measurements, circumference, and that particular face that's on Mars, they call it the spot in Cydonia. Cydonia, they actually have the name of the whole place. They actually have like cities mapped out on Mars and stuff. Um, it's like the Sphinx in Egypt in uh in Egypt, where the same sides of the face and the moon are perfectly aligned, like they're not off a centimeter. So like you do a straight line across it, it's straight and level. You do a straight line, a horizontal, vertical, it's all symmetrical perfectly. It's not off by a centimeter. So if you do like the Sphinx face in Egypt, if you
yeah.
fold it on itself, there's no flaw to it. It fits perfectly right over it. Half the
You know,
face.
what do you hear me say, man? Mathematics,
Yeah. Yep.
mathematics,
So
mathematics is the universal language of our solar system, bruh.
a hundred
Mathematics.
percent.
You know what I'm saying? Man, you know, this is a whole nother conversation, bruh. You know, but I definitely want to dig into something once we get off. But you know, I want to share with you how, you know, I have an excerpt from this book that I want to read to you about how E equals MC squared is proof that God exists.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's some heavy ass shit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Some
you gonna
heavy
have to
ass
share that
shit.
with me.
Yeah, but you know, mathematics. You know what I'm saying? Look. Hey, have you ever heard of the Nephilim? You ever heard of the
Yep,
Nephilim?
absolutely. They're the offspring of the Anunnaki and the humans,
And
basically.
Anunnaki. The Nephilim are mentioned in the Bible. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Book of Enoch. They mention them a lot.
Yeah, they mention them in Genesis too. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Right when you open it. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just I keep bringing religion up because I say this, and it's not just the mainstream religions. You know, I brought up Kemet, I
Mm-hmm.
brought up Persia,
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing up Sumeria. The formula and the pattern doesn't change, bro. You
Mm.
know, it really doesn't change, and this stuff is not unheard of. You know, it's not like, oh, you know, religious people can say, "Oh no, that's total bullshit." No, sir, it's in your book too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or you know, people from India can say, "Oh no, you know that's some Western, you know, or that's some blah blah blah." No, it's actually part of your culture too.
Mm.
The 24 gods and the main god and or the main judge. The pattern doesn't change.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
I feel like that was the ancient astronaut theorist approach too, with all these guys bringing up like all these theories and stuff with these artifacts and ancient civilizations. Is that they all these structures and stuff in Mesopotamia and Pumapunku and all these places, dude. These rocks and these things that they built were like tons and tons and tons. Like we're talking about one rock was like 28,000 tons. The rock's not even indigenous to the place where they built it. It's up on this mountain that's like fucking 2.5 miles up in the sky. So how did they even get it up there? Then all of them are aligned with these stars during a time when they did not have boats to sail across the sea. They did not have airplanes to fly across continents. But yet, all these different cultures around all these different times around all over the earth built them around the same principles, based on the same constellations, based on the same
So
geometry, direction, all that stuff.
so look, this is what's crazy. And if you dig into all of these, bro, all of these cultures, including the mainstream religions,
Mhm.
wrapped around what you're talking about right now, with you know these Anunnaki or these foreign beings that came to help society. It's all like they all have some type of mechanical spaceship
Mm,
type alien type shit involved. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, to me, the practical, logical thinking person, it's really just some technologically advanced type shit.
Right.
All of them have that in common. You know what I'm saying? These
Yeah.
Anunnaki, these you know, these 24 elders, they all have, you know, there's there's always some sort of, you know, superior technology going on with these people. You know what I'm saying?
Some type of
They go
advanced mathematics and stuff like that.
right. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like that, and I think that's where the alien thing comes in. You know, with all of these stories, why people, you know, automatically start thinking alien instead of human, because, you know, we thinking superhuman beings, and then now we're thinking, you know, hella technological advancements. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Got to
look
be
at
aliens,
this, dude. People fear the unknown. They fear the
right? For
unknown.
sure.
So they're quick to try to put a lid over it with titles and something that can be easily explained, even if it sounds absurd, just so that that fear doesn't overtake the unknown. You know what I mean? Just like you said,
Man,
it's
I
not
know you.
if you know advanced mathematics and can make something levitate through natural you know, energies around all over the planet, to somebody who doesn't know that shit, you're a fucking magician. You know what I mean? So
Hey, have you exactly, bro? Or just look. Have you seen the movie? Fucking what's that movie? Oppenheimer, or the dude who didn't make the
Oppenheimer, yeah, the
uh,
nuclear bomb, yeah.
Oppenheimer. You know, dude is on record as saying this, right? He says that that the atomic bomb, he describes it as a divine power.
Mm.
Because do you understand that what the atomic bomb does is it literally turns the atmosphere into an explosion.
Yeah, it
It,
separates atoms.
atoms, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? To a man, you tell that to a person 200 years ago, they might call him a god.
Or they
You know what
might
I'm
call him a
saying?
fucking crazy loony and wrap him up in
And
a fucking
fucking,
straitjacket.
uh, you know, he might be one of the 12.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
facts.
saying?
You fucking damn right.
You know what I'm saying? You might have called him one of the 12, man. This motherfucker know how to manipulate the atmosphere.
For
You know what
real.
I'm saying?
Nah, that's for
You know,
real.
you wouldn't, you know, like, come on, bro. Come on. You know, this is the stuff of gods.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's I mean, I really think that that's a good spot to end it right there. I think that for anybody listening, I hope that we went over enough to kind of put some things into perspectives, definitely get the wheels turning, and also bring up some new things that you may not have known. I learned some things tonight. So as always, I appreciate your words. I appreciate your wisdom, bro. Um, and I look
No,
forward to
thank
having
you,
you back
man.
on, dude.
Man, I appreciate it. Please, man, anything that you, man, I'm sorry I kept taking it to religion. You
No,
know,
you
that's
good.
where I be at with it. So invite me back anytime, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. And when you're going to school right now, what are you going to school for?
Bruh, I am pre-law right now, bruh.
Okay,
Don't
you're
I sound like a
pre-law.
lawyer? I'll be a lawyer one day.
Hell
I want to prove
yeah.
everything. I got it backed up, and yeah, man, I'm actually transferring to fucking San Francisco State in the fall, bruh. And
Awesome, dude.
I'm halfway there, man. Halfway there.
You're halfway on your journey to becoming a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Oh, right on, man. Congrats. Well, hopefully next time we talk to you, you're that much closer, bro. And I'm gonna have to get at you after this on IG because I want to hear about that E equals MC squared thing.
I'm finna hit you right now. I'm finna hit you right now.
All right, my boy. Well, shit. Y'all have a good night. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, peace, bruh.
All right.